What does presence mean to you? Think about that word for a moment. I recently got back from Puerto Rico, and we had visited so many beaches with gorgeous see-through turquoise waters. And one day I decided to swim out towards the darker, deeper, bluer parts of the ocean. And when I could no longer feel my tippy toes hitting the sand below, I started kicking my legs like flippers to give me some speed out towards those deeper parts. So as I was kicking my feet, after some time, I started to get winded. So I turned around to swim back towards the shore, kicking my legs faster because I was getting more tired. My arms started to fatigue. And in that moment, my mind panicked because I was running out of energy and momentum, and I just thought, I'm not going to make it. Now, my brother was alongside of me, and hearing me huff and puff, he just gently said, "You know you can stand, right? We're actually in the shallow part." Instant relief calmed my fear-led thoughts, and I started giggling because I was so focused on getting to safety that I hadn't realized how close to the ground I actually was, and for some time already. So as the fear vanished, and as I settled into my body, grounding myself within my presence, I let out that sigh of relief, planting both feet onto the sand below, and just let myself go with the flow of the water, allowing pure joy to come back in. This is what presence feels like for me. To me, presence is to be with. It means to reflect on, to become one with where I am and who I am in the present moment, and to just simply receive that. Presence is a process of noticing it, feeling it, living it, allowing it, and receiving it. Being me out loud is me claiming presence and being present. Now, have you ever had one of those days? The days where you have pre-planned out and prioritized, carved out time to do that task or that project that is deeply meaningful for you, that you're actually excited to do. And as you sit down to actually do it, everyone and everything starts begging for your attention. The phone goes off, the text messages come through, the reminders are coming up with all the other tasks that you really want to do. The dog on the other side of the door is scratching to get in or barking at the delivery truck. Your child is yelling down the hallway, asking for some support with something, or your baby is crying, and it goes on and on. But you keep bringing yourself back to this time you've carved out to do that task. I have had this kind of day, and this may be the delirium speaking after having over a week full of these kinds of good, busy days. The kind of days where you can almost physically see the fast-paced energy like running all around you as if it were a tangible thing, while at the same time feeling centered within because you're doing all the things that really matter to you, despite them somehow being condensed into what feels like an unending day that keeps going while time is running just a few steps ahead of you. I know that's a long run-on thought, but this is what it felt like for me recently, right before I realized that this is actually part of my aligned process. And then it became an empowered choice. What if your inner alignment is your way forward? Leading by alignment means living a life that gets to be simple and powerfully meaningful. So what does it feel like to be in this space between external alignment, all the outer things that are meaningful for you, and true inner alignment? It feels rough and smooth, warm and cool, exciting and calming, with a pulse, with a beat, with a throb of life and for life. The ridges of life bring me back to the pulse, to the beat, to the throb of life, which brings me back to presence, to me. Perhaps these ridges can for you as well. Have you ever flown in a plane over a mountainous landscape and looked out of the window, like your window seat. You're looking out the window down below to the earth beneath you. Have you ever noticed the tops of those mountain peaks and all the layers that cascade down? How everything looks vast and expansive and massive, yet so full of detail and body and power. I have. And I tend to notice the ridges and how each ridge has its own unique design and how it supports the layer above it, and how each layer has its own creative texture and terrain that makes it stand out and yet add to the completeness and to the overall beauty and wonder of the entire mountain. Have you ever been at the point in your day or in a situation where you have had enough of trying to figure things out, of making those deductive reasonings, of searching for the way forward, of trying to understand how to deal with the circumstances and ultimately make a decision that actually feels good for you? I have. And I've realized that those powerfully beautiful mountains with the unique ridges that cascade throughout its design, introducing the next textured layers of terrain and depth, these actually inspire movement and a higher perspective in life just by simply being what they were created to be. And just like those mountain ridges are rough and smooth at the same time, I've realized that the ridges of life, those complex moments in my life, are exactly like that. Perhaps they are for you as well. As I look below from this higher viewpoint, I make that connection and see the resonance between that mountain and me. And I can see how the ridges of life bring me back to my pulse, to what makes my heart beat, to my throb in life. And I now understand that I am powerfully beautiful when I'm simply being who I was created to be. And you are as well. This inspires action and movement, continuously seeking that higher perspective, especially when trying to figure things out, seeking what truly resonates and is actually supportive. I do this thing sometimes that I never noticed until now, and that I now do on purpose because it's become part of my process to staying in alignment with who I am and who I want to be. When the throbbing in my brain gets too loud, when I can physically feel the pulse and the beating of my brain with the ridges of my fingertips by simply placing them on my temples, I blur my mind and take a deep breath to find the pulse of my body. When the beating of my heart starts pounding so intensely that it feels like it's going to escape my chest, I place both hands on top gently and sink into the pulse of ease within my gut. When my pulse in my gut gets activated as if it's firing off its alarm, I follow the drumming sound each beat gives off, one step forward at a time, allowing it to lead me forward. I do this thing where after I numb my brain to find my heart and then still my heart to feel the direction of my gut, I follow this path forward. And it's sort of like an allowance, kind of as if life is like, one of those 1,000 piece jigsaw puzzles where you can see the beautiful picture on the box, but then all of these pieces are laid out before you. So it's an allowance of allowing all of the puzzle pieces of life that are spread out before me to put themselves together in front of me, while I'm like the channel or the vessel, just receiving each piece with clarity, facilitating the flow like a conductor that's masterfully guiding each musician and allowing them to shine and express themselves, teaming with, partnering up with, to present this beautiful masterpiece with. And I do this with curiosity, with excitement, with wonder, and in awe. And I now understand that this is my process in life, the path that always brings me back to self, that I can trust and rely on. What is your aligned process in life like? I'm sharing all of this after doing my first amazing in-person retreat, reflecting on the magic that happened during that event after leading from this process of presence, of inner alignment. And I was only able to experience this magic after making and taking specific empowered choices that stemmed from my inner alignment. As a business owner, a holistic practitioner, an entrepreneur, a professional, how many times have you made those offers? Reached out to get more clients, spent a mass amount of time and energy crafting the perfect program? What is your intention as you do these things? What energy are you coming from when it comes to money and to clients? What are you focusing on when it comes to money and to clients? How are you honoring and aligning your values with each business step that you take? What if you could choose the energy and the feeling of the outcome while journeying on a path that truly leads you to happiness and success? I invite you to think of your next venture as if it's only a curb and not a cliff. As if it's just a puddle and not a deep crater. Being present within your presence and continuously coming back to presence without knowing what your true inner alignment feels like is like walking a tightrope without realizing how close you actually are to the ground. So how can you find and then stay on your aligned path? Walk that road while also being anchored within so that you may be able to trust that that cliff is just a curb, or to trust that that deep crater is just a shallow puddle. Notice what it feels like to shift your perspective, zoom out from that scary cliff to that low curb. Notice what it feels like to shift from thinking you're about to drown in this deep crater, or in my case, be in this deep ocean where you're going to not make it, to merely stepping through that shallow puddle, or merely putting your feet down to find that you're in shallow waters. Claiming presence comes from truly receiving. Zoom out and shift your perspective, especially when you come up against those edges or those walls that feel like blocks keeping you stuck. Just ask yourself, what lets me be more me? Where will your presence lead you if you let it? Choose to be here in this moment. It's only a curb. When I'm present, it feels like I'm not doing anything other than receiving support to stay within my alignment. Presence is a feeling in my body of being deeply present within my expansive surroundings and embracing that. Presence is the state of being. It's the action of inaction and the conscious choice of choosing to be present. And this is what it means to be me out loud. What does it mean to be you out loud?